Welcome back, chums. My name is LastKnownMeal, and today in Cyberpunk 2077 we're gonna be covering all of the latest mods which came out in the past week or so. Do keep in mind that patch 1.7 and the expansion marketing is just around the corner in June, which means we're gonna be getting more and more mods in the future, because as the popularity of the game grows, you also get more mods on Nexus. But the modding community has been busy creating a lot of the fixes for the new patch which came out, which introduced path tracing, so we're going to be talking about that, as well as some other additional content for the game. So without further wasting your time, let's go into the video. Also, before we begin, do keep in mind, if you want a beginner's guide on how to mod in Cyberpunk 2077, then this video is going to be for you, and also you can click the link in the description down below if you want to check it out. So the first mod we're gonna be talking about is called Raytracing Overdrive Optimizations by Erock and Scorn, because a few days ago we had the path tracing, or well, Overdrive update introduced into Cyberpunk 2077, which again is mostly for people who have 4x GPUs, but honestly, even if you have 3070 or higher, well, there is a way to run path tracing with DLSS, probably on quality, but the frame rate and the overall quality of the image, it's not going to be the greatest, so it is what it is. But there is a mod now which I'm mentioning right now, the Raytracing Overdrive Optimization, which helps with that a little bit. And basically what it does, it reduces ray bounces from 2 to 1, which should technically give you similar quality of the image, but it's going to increase your frame rate by a bit. Now, I tried this mod by itself and I gained maybe 5 to 10 more frames depending on where I am in the game. It is not great, obviously, it's not going to do full magic, but is it good? Yes, definitely yes. So I do recommend checking out this mod if you want to have more optimization when it comes to path tracing in general, and if you have any issues with frame rate in general with your GPU, well, you can try this out and see how it actually works. Honestly, this should lower the actual usage of a GPU by 15%, as the mod authors say, and also by up to 40% on AMD GPUs. It is a lot. Obviously, in all situations, it's not going to be the same, but again, I like how the image looks, and honestly, I did get more frames, which actually allowed me to capture this image and capture this footage for the gameplay. And now we're gonna be moving more onto bikes and vehicles, because now we have a lot of new vehicles in the game, a lot of new bikes in the game, which I've been showing in my previous videos, but today we're gonna be showing the Black Devil, the Arch Nasare Itsumade, or as I said already, the Black Devil. I really like the design of this bike. It is absolutely beautiful. If you're going for this more maelstrom, darker look in general, I think this bike works really well. And of course, there are two ways to get this bike, obviously through the code, which I showed you to do it previously, but you press tilde, which is the button below the escape button, or well, the overlay bind, which you have posted for your Cyber Engine tweaks, and you just put in this code. But if you want to be more immersive in that sense, I always recommend installing the virtual car dealer to get a more immersive look into various vehicles we're gonna be adding later on, so it's not really added through the code itself, but you do what you do. Speaking of bikes, there is another Arch Nasare Itsumade bike, or well, the Oni version, the Angel version. This one is white and has this light blue coloration to it. I think this is very nice, and well, depending on which character you are playing and what sort of clothing you're gonna be wearing in the game in that particular moment, I think having these two bikes is really nice, because well, one is black, one is the devil, one is the angel, one is white, so it makes things really like different in the game, because you don't have to just worry about a few bikes which you have, but you can have a lot more throughout your gameplay, which is kind of nice by itself. And again, when it comes to design itself, I mean, it is really nice. The coloration is different, but what matters is that the original design, or well, the look of the bike looks the same, so it depends on you which version you want to include in your game. And again, as it was with previous vehicle mods, you have the code and of course virtual car dealer. Another mod we're going to talk about, which is more of the immersive quality of life one, is Idle Anywhere. So Idle Anywhere mod, it adds the ability to smoke, drink and eat while V is standing idle in the world. So what this means, well, if you're standing somewhere and you are not doing anything and you press the sprint button while you are again not moving out of combat, have empty hands and not looking directly up or down and not scanning, I know there's a lot of requirements, but basically you just have to stand still and press the sprint button and V is going to, well, do something, either smoke or drink or eat, which is kinda immersive because V does have a lot of stuff in her or his inventory, so it is how it is. Now at the same time, if you want to start this mod, you do have to enter your apartment building in H10 building. So you have to go into your apartment to activate the mod and then get out and the mod is going to be activated. This is done because Deceptius does have his core quest mod, which has to work in that way, where you have to go into your apartment if you want to activate some of the mods he makes. So that's the only requirement pretty much you have to do, but the mod is amazing and I definitely do recommend it. Next mod is extremely useful if you're going into the game for the first time or you're doing another playthrough. So are you kinda tired of getting the same items when you down enemies? It's kinda 10 items are just rotating in circle and that's what you're looting and that's pretty much it. Well, there is a mod for that called Cyberpunk Clothing Loot Overhaul. So what this mod does, well, it adds more variety and more, how would I say, differences into the loot people drop. So now the loot people drop is going to, well, make more sense because it's going to be from people and how you expect this clothing to be from. So a corpo is not going to drop you some rag, which we know he or she is not going to wear, so that's the thing with it. So at the same time, if you want more variety in the clothing you loot, then definitely recommend this one because, well, it makes things more interesting overall. Another mod, which is one of my absolute favorites right now, is called Immersive Cyberpunk City. So this mod tackles police systems in the game, or well, it tackles how police is spawned, how people react, how things are revolving around in the game in particular. So some of the changes that this mod introduces are, for example, they added unrestricted loot from civilians and police. You know, you might want to get those clothing items, so you can do it. There is no restriction for that anyway. You can grab civilians, carry their bodies, whatever you want. You can hack police or civilians, which is something you cannot do in the vanilla game. The police might not come to a committed crime at the 1 star, so there is difference in that. And honestly, it is kinda lore friendly because NCPD is not going to be reacting to every gunshot in the city. It's just how it is. The police is not throwing at you anymore the infinite amount of people and they can be defeated, so this is really nice. But also the police is stronger and only downed civilians or drones can raise wanted heat level, so this is nice. And also another interesting thing which I noticed with this mod is that the police now comes in one larger group rather than having one police officer on one side or having one mech stack officer on the other. It kind of makes things a little bit more immersive in that sense. And of course, you know, they're gonna be using different weapons compared to what they've been using right now. Now, there is different ways to get this mod. There is the hard, normal and very hard version, depending on how you want your difficulty to be. So if you want to go with very hard, you're gonna be getting some strong people in itself. So I recommend either hard or normal if you want a bit of an easier experience. But I mean, the normal version of this mod is pretty easy in that sense. So if you want the police to be a little bit more dangerous, then go with the hard level itself. The mod is really nice and is definitely becoming one of my favorites so far. Now, next mod we're going to check out is called Improved, or is it Rain Effect. This is very nice because if you're going for this Blade Runner Rain Dark Knight vibe, then this mod is definitely for you because this mod changes how well rain reacts to the world itself. So now rain reacts to the light and has a lot more natural movement of the particles. And going into the game, testing it out a bit, it actually looks really nice. So honestly, this is one of the mods I recommend. Now, of course, is it a big difference? Well, you can tell me down below in the comments, but I definitely noticed some because at least now the rain is going to be coming from various directions, meaning that if there is some wind, it's going to be, well, more natural and immersive in that way. Speaking of other weapons, they added SPAS 12 pump action shotgun into the game as well. Now obviously this is different from people to people depending if you like more lore friendly stuff or you want some of the stuff which is technically from the past, because a lot of these manufacturers which you see in the game and also different vehicle manufacturers do exist in Cyberpunk 2020, but keep in mind due to various licensing issues there was no way to introduce them into Cyberpunk 2077. It would be too expensive. So maybe SPAS 12 could be a relic from the past, a gun which was used all those years ago, and you can check it out that way. But it is kind of cool. I mean, if you got bored with all of the previous weapons and cars and everything, then you can definitely test this one out. Animations are nice. It's not that great, but at the same time, I mean, the mod author did spend a lot of time around this and it works really nice. Now speaking of guns, M4A1 Carbine has also been added into the game, and as we had the same discussion with SPAS 12 shotgun, if you want it you can get it because it's supposed to serve as a relic from the past. But I mean, this gun is going to replace the actual copperhead, so just keep in mind this is a replacer, not a new item by itself. It works nice. I mean, overall, like, the quality is nice, the texture wise it's nice, it aims straight, which is the most important thing, and there is aim down the sights, which is also nice. There is a bit of a scope action. I do wish the rear sight was removed, so the actual scope could be even better, but overall it works nice. And if you want a bit of a change when it comes to weapons, well, you can install this one and see what it's all about. Next mod we're gonna be checking out is PMU Alt Set MASCV Retarget. So this mod adds 45 new static poses for male V or masculine V, if you want to call it like that. It is amazing if you're using photo mode, if you want to capture certain positions, if you want to capture certain moments and you're not satisfied with the current amount of poses V has in general, well, you can check out this mod. I think it's very nice and it's good for thumbnails, it's good for images in general if you want to play around with it, because, you know, photo mode got path tracing right now, so even if you don't have an, you know, a great GPU, you can still kind of work with this to obviously create a better image and a better screenshots that you can share. So one of the things you have to keep in mind before you go and install PMU is that it needs some additional files. As I said in my previous videos that I did mention must-have mods which you need to have installed, but for this one you have to also get photo mode unlocker and also the Itsumade custom PMU pose packs. So I'm going to leave the link to this as well, so install this first and then install this mod. Next vehicle mod that we're going to check out is Quartz Bandit Wasteland Hunter. This is a very nice vehicle if you're going for that nomad playthrough, if you want more of that vibe to it. If you don't really want to be a city boy or a city girl, then you can go and check this one out, because the design is very nice and I like the combination they were using here, especially going for like the Badlands vibe outside of the city, and it works really well. I mean, also the color palette works really well on the car itself, so design is nice, materials being used here are nice, and I think the car runs pretty well. I mean, obviously it's still going to be limited by how cars run in Cyberpunk itself unless you have some mods installed, but overall I think it is very nice, and like just the design of the car fits into the game, so it's an extra vehicle if you want to get. Of course, as it is with other vehicle mod, you can get it through the code, which is like right here, or go through virtual car dealer, which again I do recommend. And the last vehicle for today, which I'm going to talk about, is the Type 66 Dusk standalone car. So this custom Quadra 66 is amazing because I like the coloration, full black, everything works really well if you want to go for maybe some stealthy kind of a character playthrough, but overall very nice. Always recommending these custom vehicles, especially if it comes in all black color. If you want to feel like Batman, well, you can do it through this mod. Again, as it was with previous vehicles, you can get the vehicle through the code or buy from the virtual car dealer. The only difference here being is that through the code it's free, but through the workshop or well through the virtual car dealer, you have to pay some addies for that. So it really depends if you want this straight away or you don't have money and you maybe want to get it later, but it's going to be an extra vehicle for you to pick up. Again, this is not a replacer vehicle. All of these vehicles are new vehicles that will appear in your inventory, or well, as you would call any other vehicle, that's how you call this one. Very nice, very fast, and good looking. I always recommend this. Speaking of ray tracing and reflections, are you kinda sad that you cannot see your character within some reflection like glass or any other material? Well, it sucks, but there is a way to solve that with Ray Tracing Player Reflection Mod. So what this mod does, it pretty much enables you to see your character somewhat in various reflections, like obviously glass and mirrors. So right now it's going to be a bit more immersive if you want to play it that way, so I recommend installing this mod because, I mean, it works better. I think I did receive a couple of hits on my frame rate, maybe 2 or 3, but it wasn't anything special because at the same time, I mean, seeing player reflection for the first time and where I'm not being a vampire anymore is absolutely amazing. And this is everything for today. Thank you so much for watching. I will be following everything in the future when it comes to Cyberpunk 2077 modding community, and as we're getting closer to patch 1.7, I'm working on something bigger which I'm going to talk about later, but I'm honestly very excited for this and I'm gonna be talking about it soon, but I'm still waiting to see how patch 1.7 is gonna be, if it's gonna be coming out sooner or later, because usually those sort of mods, or well, those sort of updates break a lot of mods and it's not really a nice thing to deal with. But at the same time, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, if you are not sure how to install a certain mod, just drop them down below. I will try to answer if I can, but just keep remembering that you do need to have some mods before that you have to install before you install this one. Again, the video for that is in description down below, so check it out. Must-have mods are, in the end, must-have mods if you want to install any one of these mods. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button for more, and tell me down below what do you think about all of this. Again, this is LKM signing out, and I'll talk to you next time. But huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters, and if you wanted to support the channel in an extra way, you can do it through Patreon or directly on YouTube.